here at Nersa, and I will be the program sort of facilitator of this briefing. Before we start, I'll request our Health and Safety Officer just to give us some brief evacuation procedures. Oslo.
So, of course, we are cut out of proceedings just for now. They're out of the parliamentary proceedings there as President Cyril Ramaphosa answers questions in Parliament. But we head over to the Nersa briefing now, where we may hear indeed whether Eskom did indeed receive a tariff increase of 15%. Let's cross to that now.
Or when the health and safety representative for the floor blows a whistle, it indicates they need to evacuate. Exit through the door on my left. Walk briskly and do not use the lift. Proceed down the stairs to the exit door at the reception to the assembly point situated outside the building. If there's any person living with disabilities, he or she will be assisted by the health and safety representative in that room, which is Ms. Mashaba. Once at the assembly point, the health and safety representatives will take a roll call and inform everyone of what is happening and when it is safe to re-enter the building. Thank you.
Thank you, Flo. Colleagues, there are bathrooms here, that door on the far right, in case Mother Nature gives you some signals. Let me introduce the panel. I will start from the far right. Mr. Chris Foley, the regulator member and the Chief Executive Officer of Nersa. Next to Mr. Foley is Ms. Nomfundo Maseti, the regulator member for pipe gas and electricity. And then next to Ms. Maseti, it's Mr. Jacob Modise, the chairperson of Nersa. Without wasting time, I will request the chairperson of Nersa, Mr. Jacob Modise, to announce the decision. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lavella. I think I'm going to be reading a media statement to you, but I think before we do that, I want to once again just apologize for for the delay. We had an Energy Regulator meeting this morning, and I think the purpose of the meeting was to receive the recommendations and the report from the Electricity Subcommittee, which is chaired by Ms. Maseti. And I think given the complexities of the decisions and the amount of debate that we had at the meeting, it took longer than we expected. But I think we needed to take the time to come to the decision that we took. But we do thank you for your patience. We know we're supposed to start at 1, but we're only starting now. So thanks for your patience. We have fellow regulators who have joined us in the media during this media briefing. I think they're sitting across the room there. Just welcome. And I want to also welcome our distinguished guests, members of the media, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for making the time to attend this media briefing, where we'll be announcing the Energy Regulator's decision on Eskom Regulatory Clearing Account application for year 5, and that's the year 2017-2018, of the third year multi-year price determination, MYPD3, and Eskom MYPD4 application for a duration of 3 years from 2019-20 to 2021-22. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to firstly provide context regarding Nersa's legal mandate, methodology used to regulate Eskom, tariffs and due processes followed in making the decision. Section 4C of the Energy Regulator Act 2004, Act number 40 of 2004, entrusts the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, Nersa, with the responsibility to undertake the functions detailed in Section 4 of the Electricity Regulations Act 2006, Act number 4 of 2006. We will be referring it to ERA. The Electricity Regulation Act sets out the functions of Nersa. Specifically relevant to the application of Section 4A, subsection Roman 3, in terms of which Nersa is empowered to regulate prices and tariffs. In performing its mandates, Nersa is required to ensure that the following objectives are achieved. The first one, the efficient, effective, sustainable, and orderly development and operation of the electricity supply infrastructure in South Africa. The second objective is that the interests and needs of present and future electricity customers and end users are safeguarded and met, having regard to the governance, efficiency, effectiveness, and long-term sustainability of the electricity supply industry within the broader context of economic energy regulation in South Africa. Third objective is that investment in electricity supply industry is facilitated. And fourth one is that universal access to electricity is facilitated. And the next objective is to ensure that the use of diverse energy sources and energy efficiency is promoted. And next, that competitiveness and customers and end users' choice are promoted. And lastly, that a fair balance between the interests of customers and end users, licensees, investors in electricity supply industries, and the public are facilitators. So we're providing that balance. It is important to indicate that the licenses issued to Eskom also sets out conditions relating to the setting and approval of tariffs, charges, prices, and rates charged by Eskom. In terms of Section 15 of the Electricity Regulation Act, a license condition relating to the setting and approval of tariff, charges, and prices and regulation of revenue must inter alia enable an efficient licensee to recover the full costs of its licensed activities, including a reasonable margin or return, provide for or prescribe incentives for continued improvement of the technical and economic efficiency with which services are to be provided, and give end users proper information regarding the costs that their consumption impose on the licensee's businesses. Now, Nersa has developed a multi-year price determination methodology in order to facilitate compliance with the regulatory framework and create regulatory certainty regarding Eskom's revenue applications. The MYPD methodology is used for the evaluation of Eskom's revenue and regulatory clearing account applications. It forms the basis from which Nersa evaluates price adjustment applications received from Eskom. The MYPD was first introduced in 2006 and is revised per MYPD period to enhance regulation and increase transparency by aligning the objectives of certain sections to minimize regulatory risk. It is a cost of service-based methodology with incentives for cost savings and efficient and prudent procurement and overall operation of Eskom. Eskom's RCA application was evaluated using MYPD3 methodology. So the RCA relates to the MYPD3 period. And the MYPD4 application was evaluated using the MYPD4 methodology. It is important to indicate that the RCA is a correction mechanism of the MYPD where excess or inadequate returns are managed. It consists of the variances between the actuals for the full financial year and what was allowed in the MYPD decision of the Energy Regulator. If it is found that the variance is reasonable and justified, Eskom is allowed to recover requested revenue. By design, the RCA is backward-looking and deals with actuals and facts, while the MYPD revenue application is forward-looking and deals with forecasts and estimates. Ladies and gentlemen, Nersa received two applications as follows. On 16 September 2018, Nersa received Eskom's RCA application. Eskom applied for a total balance of 21.6 billion in its favor for consideration by the Energy Regulator. And on 14 September 2018, Nersa received Eskom's MYPD4 application for a duration of 3 years. Eskom applied for 219 billion for the financial year 2019-20, 252 billion for the financial year 2020-2021, and 291 billion for the financial year 2021-2022. Upon receipt of the applications, Nersa conducted an analysis to ensure the compliance of the applications with the minimum information requirement for tariff application. We refer it to as MIRTA, as well as MYPD methodology. Full compliance was confirmed on 2 October 2018, after all outstanding documents were submitted by Eskom. According to Eskom, the RCA application was driven substantially by revenue under recovery and high primary energy costs to meet demand while operating in a constrained electricity system. Eskom's MYPD4 application was driven significantly by the regulatory asset base, primary energy, and operating expenditure. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the provisions of MYPD methodology, the Energy Regulator has to, upon application by Eskom, assess qualifying allowed revenue and qualified allowed expenditure against relevant actual revenue and actual expenditure, as well as performance incentive adjustments. The following is a brief background of the due process that was followed in making the decision. On 19 October 2018, Both applications, that's the RCA and MYPD 4, were published on Nersa's website with an invitation to stakeholders to submit written comments. The closing date for written comments was 30 November 2018. More than 119,000 written comments were received from stakeholders on the two applications, 119,000. These consisted of written comments from private individuals, small energy users, intensive energy users, non-government organizations, environmental activists, local government, trade unions, and other stakeholders. A summary of written stakeholder comments will be provided in the reason for decision document. The Energy Regulator also conducted public hearings in 7 out of South Africa's 9 provinces between 14 January and 5 February 2019. This was to afford interested and affected stakeholders the opportunity to present their views, facts, and evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, I must point out that during the processing of the two applications, the country experienced load shedding. It culminated in Eskom implementing stage 4 load shedding on 11 February 2019. According to Eskom, this was due to the unexpected loss of 6 generating units, which placed additional strain on the system. Eskom stated that load shedding is a measure of last resort to protect the system. The Energy Regulator has, in arriving at its decision, balanced Eskom's interests and those of the public in line with Section 2B of the Electricity Regulation Act. In this regard, a thorough analysis of financial information submitted by Eskom was conducted. An economic impact assessment study was also conducted. All inputs received from stakeholders were also taken into consideration. Some of the key issues considered in analyzing the RCA application included the following: revenue variance, coal, open cycle gas turbines, other primary energy, independent power producers and co-generators, international purchases, environmental levy, nuclear decommissioning, demand market participation, capital expenditure clearing accounts, integrated demand management, service quality, and inflation adjustments. And the key issues that were considered in analyzing the MYPD4 application included the regulatory asset base, weighted average cost of capital, operating expenditure, primary energy, independent power producers, depreciation, integrated demand management, research and development, and levies and taxes. Based on available information and the analysis of Eskom's RCA application for year 5, that is for the year 2017-2018, of the third year MYPD period, the Energy Regulator approved as follows: an RCA balance of 3.869 billion. Resolution number 2, the RCA balance of 3.869 billion will be recoverable from the standard tariff customers local special pricing agreements, customers and international customers. The Energy Regulator will develop an implementation plan for the MYPD 3-year 5 RCA for 2017-18 financial year for approval. So this will be given in due course. Regarding the MYPD 4 application, based on available information and the analysis of Eskom's MYPD 4 application for the control period of 3 years from 2019-20 to 2020-21, the Energy Regulator approved as follows. Number 1, allowable revenue of 206.38 billion for the financial year 2019-2020, 221.843 billion for the financial year 2020-2021, and 233.078 billion for the financial year 2021-2022. The approved allowable revenue will result in an average percentage increases of 9.413%, 8.10%, and 5.828% respectively for those 3 financial years. Oh, did I say 5.22? Just to be clear, let me just repeat the percentages again. And by the way, these are the percentages excluding all other prior approvals. For the financial year 2021, the revenue that we've approved is it equates to 9.841%. 9.41%. Let me, yeah.
Did you start again?
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure they're awake.
Yeah, no. I think we're trying to make sure we are awake. Okay, let's just repeat the resolution carefully. So we made a resolution that allowable revenue will be 2.06,380 billion for the financial year 2019 to 2020. And that will be equivalent to a percentage increase of 9.41%. That's for the first year. And then for the second year, we made a decision that allowable revenue would be 221.843 billion, and that will be for the financial year 2020-21. That will be equivalent to an 8.10% increase. And then for the last of the 3 periods, the allowable revenue that we have approved amounts to 233.078 billion, which equivalent to an increase of 5.22%. And this excludes all other increases that we may have provided before and the impact of the RCA. I hope that's clear. Resolution number 2, the Energy Regulator will subject the costs to further extensive prudency reviews, efficiency tests, and performance thresholds. Resolution number 3, the Energy Regulator will also perform independent valuation of Eskom's regulatory asset base, and if necessary, adjustments will be made arising out of this. And the resolution number 4, the Energy Regulator will further conduct performance audits on Eskom's generation fleet, and if necessary, adjustments will be made in the future. Resolution number 5, the allowed revenues must be recovered from both Eskom standard and non-standard tariff customers. These are the negotiated pricing agreements and international customers based on the previously approved tariff principle and structures using the Eskom retail tariff structural adjustment methodology, the one that we commonly refer to as Nersa, as approved by Nersa. And the last resolution is the Energy Regulator will consider the Nersa for this first year period, the year 2019-2020, following submission of application by Eskom. The Energy Regulator further considered that Eskom considered that certain governance failures occurred in Eskom. However, at the time the above decisions have been taken, and although some adjustments were already effected in the RCA application, the extent of the governance failures or amounts associated therewith had not been fully quantified. The Energy Regulator may initiate its own investigation into the governance failures of Eskom and may effect adjustment to Eskom's revenues based on the relevant outcome of its investigations and or those undertaken by bodies or other entities, including but not limited to Eskom itself, National Treasury, the Special Investigation Unit, the South African Directorate for Priority Crimes Investigation, that is the Hawks, the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, or any commission of inquiry as and when they are concluded or a conclusive outcome is reached, and the costs associated therewith have been quantified. The Energy Regulator made several proposals to improve Eskom operational efficiencies. These include the following. To improve operational efficiency, the Energy Regulator is going to suggest that Eskom reduce costs and provide a plan within 6 months on cutting costs and cost-cutting and other cost-cutting measures. Reduce unplanned outages and trips, reduce water usage, and develop a maintenance plan showing how it will execute maintenance. And the next area, Eskom should provide the energy availability factor, should improve the energy availability factor by reducing unplanned capacity loss factor, UCLF, and effectively executing planned outages. And the next item, Eskom should reduce the frequency of load shedding and provide plans on how security of supply will be assured. And then the next one, Eskom should submit the details of units and plants that severely or adversely affect the energy availability factor and put plans in place to address this within 4 months of the decision. And the next one, Eskom should submit detailed plans on repairing major defects and design failures in the new build plant, that is Medupi and Kusile, and reduce trips and other operational inefficiencies in these plants. And next, Eskom should consider that the reduction adjustment to the regulatory asset base value following the removal of plants or units that are in an inoperable state and those that are in cold storage. And those that have been offline for 2 years because they require significant refurbishment and equipment replacement, and are new but have to be re-rated based on performance, operational inefficiencies, and major design failures. Ladies and gentlemen, our challenge has been and still remains regulating the energy industry in a manner that balances the interests of energy producers on the one hand and those of consumers on the other hand. This is never an easy task, for inevitably it is influenced by the greater economic environment, both local and internationally, and as directed by the policy environment of government. The Energy Regulator appreciates stakeholder participation in the decision-making process of the two applications and would like to thank all individuals and organizations for their valuable comments and input. We thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, Mr. Modise. Colleagues, it's time to ask questions, and the panel will respond.
All right, so that's the Nersa announcement, and the key figures for you and I is that Eskom can only increase their tariffs by 9.4% in year 1, 8.1% in year 2, and 5.2% in year 3.